Hey youth group, Troy here with a quick devotion. My devotion is on Jonah. Now, the traditional story of Jonah is one that we all know, where the great fish swallows Jonah whole. He lives inside the fish for 3 days, and then later he's spit up on dry land. But I want to talk about other parts of Jonah. Like at the beginning, God asked Jonah to go to the city of Nineveh and prophesy that because of their sin, God was going to overturn the city. So, if you're a prophet, which Jonah was, you are judged on your record. If you go and you prophesy that God is going to do something, and then that something doesn't come to pass, then you could actually be killed for being a false prophet, for saying that God was going to do something that God clearly didn't do. Now there's a verse in chapter 4 of Jonah, and it says this is Jonah talking to God. He says, "I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love, a God who relents from sending calamity. Now, Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live." So this is what happened. God relented after Jonah went in and said, because of your sin, God is going to destroy this city. Well, they repented and God forgave them. And so now Jonah finds himself in this situation where he has said something that turned out to be a false prophecy. So he's probably fearing for his life. And he knew what ahead of time, he at least suspected ahead of time, that this was going to be a great sacrifice for him. Now, there are times in my life where I have known what God wanted me to do in a certain situation. I might say that God was calling me to do something, and instead, like Jonah, I chose to run away. And for the same reason, I ran away because doing what God wanted me to do was going to cause me to have to sacrifice in some way. Now, maybe it's not as big of a sacrifice as Jonah is looking at in this story, with his whole life turned upside down. I mean, his whole identity was being a prophet, and now he can't really do that anymore because one of his prophecies was proven false because God relented. Now, could be a small sacrifice. You know, when God's calling me to do something, I choose not to do it. Maybe something I was supposed to do was just to stick up for somebody, and sticking up, by doing so, I would lose some cool points from this other group that's watching me or something. Or maybe it's cost me financially because, you know, the Lord's tugging at my heart to give to someone whom I think is in need. Whatever the case, we are all given opportunities to follow God's will, to obey Him. And often we choose to run away. So as an encouragement for this devotion, I want to encourage you to not run away from the things that God is calling you to do, or the things that God would have you do. Because there's an abundant life that God talks about in the Bible, that if we listen and obey God, our lives will be enriched. We always feel better when we give to the person in need. We always feel better when we take up for someone. Usually, anyway, it's the right thing to do, and our lives are enriched by doing the right thing. And that's what God calls us to do. So don't run from God, run toward God. I hope you've enjoyed this devotion, and I can't wait to see you guys again in person. Bye.